Welcome back to Squawk. Americans owe a total of more than $1.7 trillion in outstanding student loans, and more than 40 million Americans who have federal student loans will have to start making payments again next year. That debt burden may have the greatest impact on an older borrowers, some of whom are now facing a double debt dilemma. CNBC's personal finance correspondent, Sharon Epperson, joins us with more on all of it. Sharon.
Andrew, the pause on federal student loan payments ends in January, and it may be a shock to the day-to-day budgets and the overall debt burden for many, like 60-year-old Cassandra Shorter, a program manager in Houston.
My debt is about $36,000. It took me over 30 years to get that amount. My original student loan certainly wasn't close to that amount. I think it was maybe $17,000, but with the interest that have accrued with it over the years and also taken out forbearance, it has grown to $36,000.
Although there are fewer older borrowers like Shorter still paying off student loans, they often have higher balances than younger generations with less time to pay back those loans. New data from Fidelity Investments shows that while Gen Z borrowers owe less than $28,000 on average, Gen X and Boomers owe more than $50,000. On top of that, Fidelity found many older borrowers with access to workplace retirement savings plans are facing a double debt crisis.
We see almost double the number of people with 401k loans when they're holding student debt comparatively to those who don't. And that's really a mark of financial hardship.
And that can also put older Americans in a particularly precarious position for retirement, Andrew.
Sharon, it seems like a case of those already in financial distress making it worse. What percentage of boomers have now taken loans from their 401ks compared to those who have 401k loans and student debt?
Looking at the data, about 30% of boomers and 32% of Gen X borrowers with student debt also have a 401k loan. That's according to Fidelity. And that's compared to 17% and 23% of all 401k savers in those age groups who've taken out a loan from their plan. Cassandra Shorter, by the way, told me she's thought about tapping her nest egg, but she says she feels like she's too close to retirement to do that.
And if people with student loans are also taking out 401k loans in greater numbers, could we see more companies offering student loan repayment assistance programs? Is that something that's in the offing?
Yeah, well, you know, it's already starting to ramp up. Right now, about 17% of employers offer student loan repayment assistance, and another 31% plan to offer it. That's according to the Employee Benefit Research Institute. Now, about 70% of employers said employee engagement in the benefit has increased since 2020, and they're also being more innovative in what they're doing. Companies are doing things like using unpaid vacation time and putting that toward paying off student loans or to a 529 plan. So it's interesting what companies are doing in terms of new perks and new ways to help their employees pay down their debt.
Hey, Sharon, before we let you go, obviously there's a lot of politics in Washington and conversations about trying to rid people of student debt. How many people do you think are just waiting for that? I ask because I actually know some people who are remarkably wealthy. I mean, seriously wealthy people who actually have not paid their student debts because they think that one day the debt may get wiped out.
You know, you're saying exactly what Cassandra Shorter wants to happen. There are many borrowers like Cassandra that I've talked to that are waiting, that are hoping that there will be a broad forgiveness plan out there. But they also know that right now that looks unlikely, and so they need to come up with some type of plan to pay down this debt. Cassandra doesn't know how she's going to come up with a couple $100s a month necessarily, but she knows that she has to, and she's working toward it, and she's gotten emails, texts, and phone calls to let her know January 31st, 2022, that is when this payment pause will end, and that is when you're going to have to start figuring out how to make those monthly payments again.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.